I'm joined here today with Katie Richardson. She's the founder and CEO of Neighborhood Barre. I'm excited because, Katie, most people don't look at a founder and see them in the trenches still. So what I love about Neighborhood Barre is that truly, as a founder-led organization, you lock arms with every franchisee every day, walking them through business best practices and really the day-to-day complexities and all the awesome aspects of being in business. And so since so many people come to Neighborhood Barre for the first time as a first-time owner or step out of their professional prowess, I love that you do this. Could you give us a little insight maybe in the day in the life of an owner at Neighborhood Barre? Especially since, you're a great one.
Well, I burn the candle at both ends a little bit too much. So I would say don't do that as a Neighborhood Barre owner. But, a day in the life, it's pretty simple. If you kind of zoom out and you think about if you are attending a boutique fitness studio, or you even are just familiar with what the class schedule looks like, you have kind of like these blocks of time throughout the day. So your operating classes early morning, mid-morning, sometimes noon, and in the evening. So during those blocks of time in between is when you're really focusing on your kind of daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly task list. So there's just certain tasks that you can kind of dig into, check off. Now, from day to day, the time that those tasks take might look a little different, but for the most part, you're able to kind of get your strategic tactical things done during those kind of down hours of the fitness studio. And because not every day looks exactly the same, you can also use some of those down hours to give yourself a little bit of self-care, to dial it back a little bit, because the biggest difference from owning your own business and working a more traditional 9 to 5 is your days are not necessarily consistent, right? Like your bandwidth is different. You might give a whole lot to, a few days during the week, and then the other days might look a little bit lighter. So that's when you have to remember that it's okay sometimes to take a step back and give yourself what you need, because that's what's going to recharge you and kind of get you back on task for those busier, more hectic times of the year, or just certain days where client communication might be a little heavier than normal. So whereas every day doesn't look the same, you're always kind of prioritizing the same things.
That's really smart. As the growth and strategy expert at Neighborhood Barre, what I think about is what are those proactive processes that we can put in place for essentially a bar business in the box, which is what they get when they become an owner. But really what they need is the strategy, the systems, and the support. And when you do that right, you love that professional benefit of seeing your success, seeing your own abilities, but you also get to stretch yourself a little bit. So I love that you gave us a very dual answer, which is like, go all out, but also take care of yourself, because that's one of the unique aspects of being in a woman-led, founder-led, highly diverse organization. How did you create such a supportive, structured environment? Because you've got that down, very systematic as well.
Absolutely. It took time. And the thing about a franchise system is you don't always know what people need from you from a support side until you kind of have that hindsight's 2020 viewpoint. So, I always tell everybody, when you're a new owner that comes into the system, every new owner has it better than the owner before that, because we keep getting better, right? We have more experience. The more experience we have, the better we can serve our owners. At this point in our kind of life cycle of our business on the corporate side, we really have, like you said, dialed in that support over the years. We really started digging in 2018. So if you think about how long ago that was, that we really implemented, KPIs, monitoring those KPIs month over month, and even throughout the month. And so as we've been able to grow, we set that stuff up so that it was scalable from the beginning. And I would say this, one thing that I think is unique about our franchise system versus others is that we are not afraid to go back and constantly rework and tweak our processes so that we can serve the owners in the same capacity now as we did when we only had 15. We're serving now, if not better than we did before, because we're making everything more efficient and scalable over time. So I think some people think, well, as neighborhood bar continues to grow, am I still going to get the same level of support?
Yeah.
Absolutely 100%, if not more
Better.
than the owners got last year, just because we continue to keep getting better. And one of our philosophies is to kind of compare the way we serve our studio owners to the way a studio owner serves their clients.
Yeah.
Are you going to serve your studio any less when you're maximized in your class capacity and waitlisted? No, it's going to cause you to level up and be better, because you're going to be energized by the amount of people that are investing into your business. So we kind of approach it the exact same way here. The more people that invest in a neighborhood bar, the more dollars go back into building, tweaking, and making the support system more efficient for our franchisees. So we've just scaled it and reinvested over the years, just like a studio owner would do with their studio.
You said the word serve so many times, and I'm not just saying this because we're talking about this. You are the epitome of a servant leader. And when I think about that, it makes so much sense, the success of the franchisees, because they can look to you, they can lean on your expertise. You've been at this game a long time, more than most, and you're in the trenches every single day. So you're fresh, you're always thinking of new needs, you're always kind of going back to the drawing board. As a franchise owner, that is so unique and yet so refreshing, because what it provides, I think, that studio owner, you just nailed it. It's the concept of we can do well and do better over time, regardless of how the organization grows, because there's efficiency. And honestly, there's a connection there to each person where it's more than just you. It's more than just the corporate team. The franchisees themselves are peers to each other and love that collaboration and connection that they get. And then we layer on this aspect of coaching that I'm so blessed to be able to do, where they also have this outside voice that often is saying, that's funny, Katie said that last month. And so we're able to just really holistically support business owners in a way that your servant leadership makes this not just fun and exciting. It makes it real for people. It really makes their dream of business ownership come alive in a way that it's just so amazing to see on boots on the ground. So when I think about what you built and I see the ability for someone to come in and own a franchise, I mean, Neighborhood Bar has been featured for the ability to be low cost, high value, a great investment. Even now, and especially now, you have this amazing, diverse way of helping support your network and also growing and pushing the business forward. So what does that mean for the business now? What does it mean for a potential owner who's considering investing, getting a territory of their own, and, getting to the bar?
I mean, I think it means a lot. I mean, like you just named a lot of things. There are a lot of things, and there's a lot of reasons why people decide to open a neighborhood bar studio, right? So, our focus is on maximizing profitability and return on investment for our franchisees, because I was once in that position of quitting my corporate job, moving somewhere where I didn't know a single person. And I was in my 20s also. I can't believe my parents didn't pull some type of intervention. And I did not have the option to fail.
Right.
Except for, in the back of my head, I thought, you have a finance degree and an accounting degree.
Okay, touche.
You're employable, but you're also quitting that job because you don't like it.
Yeah.
So, I've been there, and I think that that's also a little bit unique in the circumstance of when people join Neighborhood Bar. It's kind of like you said, I'm in the trenches, and I've also been where you are. So the biggest thing is being able to learn from all of the things that we've all learned from over the years, and kind of understanding the big picture and kind of the strategy, that there's a reason why we have the support tailored the way that it is. There's a reason why we make suggestions that we make. And it's so that our owners can avoid making very common mistakes that new business owners make, because we've already made them and then had to AAR it and get to the other side and learn from it and figure out the best way. So I think every franchise system is unique. I think ours is very unique in a sense of we are really focusing on the success of our franchise partners, our franchisees, versus nickel and diming our franchisees for our corporate entity to make money that way. And there are times where I'm like, wow, we really should charge more for training, but that limits then the number of touch points we get with the training department. We want everything to be accessible to our franchisees. We pass our economies of scale along to our franchisees. We put parameters in place that make sense for costs to stay low without corporate losing money. Everything is very thought out and very planned. Whether, we even communicate that to the franchisees or not, which sometimes that can be an issue. It's like, well, it's this way because we're trying to save you money.
That's right.
And save you time. So, that's where we're kind of working on leading with the why, and the why for why somebody buys in, what all of this stuff means. We're in the top 100, franchises that can open for $100,000 or less because we have figured out a way to keep your investment low to maximize the return on your investment. Diversity, equity, and inclusion. We are, woman founded. Every single person on your corporate team, is a woman. We make people feel very comfortable from all walks of life. So it trickles down to the studio level. And that is one of the biggest things we hear from our clients. One of the biggest things we hear when we're talking to new potential owners. One reason why I wanted to talk to Neighborhood Bar versus maybe a bigger brand is because I walked in one of your studios and I felt like I belonged, even though I didn't even live in the city where I attended class, so there's a lot of things that it means. And I think there's a lot of things that a new owner could kind of hold on to as kind of their why of getting into the business, whether it is strictly like tactical business strategy, or if it's more of your heart that wants to get into the business. But that is kind of what all encompassing you get with Neighborhood Bar.
That's so good. You gave us so many really deep, textured pieces of the pie, so to speak. And what I think about, if I drilled it down to those 3 core areas, there is something really great about speed, right? That's what franchising is it gives you this playbook for success. Support, which is very rare and often not talked about on the franchising side, where, a lot of times what you purchase is a brand, some assets, pictures, maybe a logo, but you don't have the level of support that people have with Neighborhood Bar. And then there's the systems, and your systems are so tight and turnkey. I think it's positioned for the future. It's not just about spending more to make more. It's about spending smart and to be around for a long time. And so if you're looking at this and you're considering becoming a Neighborhood Bar owner, you may not have all that figured out. And you may be nervous about all the things you don't know. As a former owner myself, somebody who works with owners all the time, that analysis of paralysis is a real thing. And so what we're trying to do is give you, some high level ideas of what is it like to work with the Neighborhood Bar team? What would it be like for you to step into your prowess as an owner? Because oftentimes for many of us, there's just that very nervous, very unsure prospect of failure that we're always trying to navigate alongside the excitement. And the thing is, studio fitness is not going away. This business continues to evolve and thrive, and I think is really positioned for another big comeback in most of the fitness industry. So maybe for this last one, Katie, if you were, looking into the camera and speaking directly to someone who's curious about becoming an owner, but maybe feeling a little gun shy, maybe feeling a little nervous or imposter syndrome, or not sure if they could be a boss, as a boss yourself, can you tell them what makes them a great owner prospect?
Absolutely. There's a lot of things that go into it, and there's a lot of things to think about. I want to kind of dial it back to one thing you said about sometimes it's about buying a brand, and the brand is the asset. So a lot of people don't know this, but I actually interviewed to be a franchisee of a very popular bar concept before I made the decision to quit my job and open Neighborhood Bar.
Wow.
I had no idea that there was such thing as systems and processes. I thought that I was going to be purchasing a name.
Wow.
And that name would be like, if you build it, they will come. I was also like 26 years old. Not that there's anything wrong with being young. We have very
Bright-eyed and
diverse,
bushy-tailed is all
and
we
they are
need.
very amazing. But I just didn't have the perspective, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't even know what questions to ask because
Wow.
I didn't know that that was a thing. So as I, built my business and then realized, like, I started realizing, oh, you need to prioritize these things. Oh,
Mhm.
this is how you, don't undervalue your own services. And I learned all that, just like we talked about before, kind of learning from the mistakes that you make makes you better, with identifying if you would be a great fit to be a neighborhood bar owner or not. First of all, it's knowing that the systems and processes and strategy are already in existence for you. And I do think you're right, KK, that a lot of times one thing that holds people back might be a little bit of that imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
You don't really have to know much of anything to be able to own and operate a neighborhood bar studio, but you have to be willing to learn our systems and processes, to follow the playbooks, to trust the process, so to speak. And from an emotional standpoint, it's not just, going down a checklist and saying, read
Correct.
your operations manual. That's not how we work. We understand that not every market is a one size fits all solution
Yeah.
for our systems and processes and playbooks, that there are certain things that need to be tweaked from city to city, town to town.
Yes.
I'm also a big proponent in some of your processes in general, that it's not a one size fits all for every owner, because all of our daily lives look different. So
Yeah.
if you have 3 kids under the age of 5, what you do for your processes might look different from someone who's 24 years old and single.
Oh, that's so good. And that's okay. That's the thing
It's
about
totally
neighborhood bar,
okay.
and that's totally okay.
Exactly. It is totally okay, but it has to look different because one person's life and bandwidth looks different from another person's. So I think another unique thing is that on our corporate team, we all
Mhm.
live very different lives as well. And we understand that not everybody can follow the exact same process because not everybody lives the same life. So we have had this unique ability to be able to tailor our processes to suit our owners' needs as much as to suit the needs of their market. So as long as you're willing to be open-minded and also communicate back to us when you need help and when you have questions,
Yep.
because my crystal ball doesn't always work.
Mine either, no matter how much I polish it.
Yeah, it's funny. Like, I pick up that and shake it. It's just, I can't always see the future, but communication is key, right? And I think part of being a business owner in general is being a really good communicator.
Yeah.
I learned that along the way. I didn't wake up one day with these amazing communication skills and empathy and understanding for every client that walked through my doors, but I developed that over time. So as long as you're willing to develop those skills that you might be lacking, everybody comes in with some type of asset and skill. The other ones have to be learned. So as long as you're willing to learn it, and as long as you're willing to follow the processes and also be an open communicator with your corporate team and your own staff, communicate your needs to your own staff, you can typically pull out of any stressful situation of being a business owner. And I always say this: your first year of owning a business, it's the managing your emotional output can be the hardest part. And no one really prepares you for that as a business owner, but managing when to be stressed out, when to not, when to chill, when to cry about something, when to be proud of yourself. Some people have a hard time even celebrating their record-breaking revenue months because they don't know if the other shoe is going to drop. You have to work through a lot of those emotions. And then the next year it gets a little easier. And then the year after that, it gets even easier. And not that you ever hit this like super comfortable spot, as you shouldn't, because you own a business. You never know what's going to happen, but you really learn to manage your time and your emotions over those first couple of years.
That is so true. Something that I've said time and time again this year, after doing this over 20 years and coaching business owners that are at every walk and stage of life, including a neighborhood bar, one of the most important things we've learned in the last couple of years is that your personal affects your professional. And if we do it right, our professional affects our personal, which means we can use some of those productivity hacks and self-care and things that we're, especially speaking as women in business, we're speaking quite frankly about this. that were considered soft and nice to haves, we realize now they're not just must haves. It's how you built this organization. This is a little bit of your how I built it, because when people are successful in one area of life, it doesn't always translate to the other, and yet it should and it can. So I love that you have a very well-rounded view of what it takes to be an owner, as somebody who works with owners, but also as an owner yourself. You spend a lot of time, nurturing others, lifting them up, teaching classes, going back to the drawing board on, systems, logging into spreadsheets. I mean, you really do it all. And this is just such an amazing opportunity for anyone who's considering it. I see it as, if you're considering this as your dream, right? One, I want to be cheesy and tell you don't quit your daydream. And then two, to really remind you that this is going to be a step out of your comfort zone. You may not have every answer fully figured out by the time you sign up or by the time you go to market. But that's why the software, the systems, the people, the support, it's all in place for you. So we would love to meet you as you're thinking through next steps in your journey. Maybe you're at the very beginning and you're not really sure what your questions are or where you're at. I highly recommend you reach out. You get that first call, and then you subsequently plan for your next call. So you're already proactive in your owner prowess and thinking about next steps and really purposeful. I've met people who want to start a business in the next 5 years, but they're doing things every month to get there. And I've met people who 1 month later, after being introduced, they're ready to go. And both are okay, but there is a strategy and a process that we recommend so we can lock arms with you and help you every step of the way. Katie, thank you so much for your insights today. I think this is going to be one of the coolest things that someone can do in their entire life. It is a complete transition from professional and personal into a prowess that I believe that every woman has inside of her. And whether or not she wants to tap into it, that part is up to you.